Hello, and happy Halloween, folks, if you're joining us on the day that this video will hopefully be going out on. This video is going up because, as I explained in a previous IRL video, I'm taking the day off for festivities for Halloween and all of that good stuff, but tried to get this recorded ahead of time. Honestly, it'll be really funny if I end up missing the day before's videos, but such is the way of things. It is actually looking a little bit likely, but nonetheless, this one will happen. This one will happen. And in this one, we're doing another ranking video, one which nobody once again really asked for, just like the previous one, where we ranked booby traps in Oblivion and how likely I feel like I could have survived them. This one for Halloween, I thought we would do something a little bit more spooky, a little bit more scary. We're going to rank the ghosts of Skyrim, right? We're gonna look at all the cool, terrifying ghosts that exist in that game. There's actually a lot more than I thought there were, but these will be predominantly like important ghosts, right? It's not just gonna be like, we're gonna rank every single nameless ghost, every single level variation of them. We're not gonna do that. But they need to be a ghost. They have to be somewhat important in some way, and we're gonna rank them. Anyway, apologies for the slightly new camera angle. I actually knocked over my camera when I was getting things set up, but that's no problem. No problem at all. When next we come back after this cut, we're going to be in picture-in-picture mode, ready to look at some terrifying ghosts. Don't get too scared. Don't get scared by the ghosts. Gosh, I'm a little scared right now. I'm real scared. All right, see ya. All right, we are back. Welcome to our big tier list situation here. I think we've got 20 of them. And I think that because I'm pretty sure I appropriately researched them all ahead of time, because as you can see, if you can make out this text, although there's a lot of recognizable ones that you will probably instantly remember, and you will instantly know, oh, these were cool ghosts, he's probably going to rate them highly. He's probably going to rank them pretty high up. Well, first of all, you would be right. That is probably going to happen. Feel free to skip to the end if you just cannot wait, if you can't contain your Halloween excitement. But also there are a whole bunch that have names and stuff that maybe a lot of people don't remember, myself included. Thus, I have looked them all up. Once again, as per usual, always thanks to the fantastic, longest-running Elder Scrolls wiki site of all dang time, that being uesp.net. It's where I got all these images from, and where I did my little bits of research. After all, I don't even know if it comes up here. I am a head researcher. Anyway, we'll look through all of that stuff. I got little summaries of them just in case we need to get our memories jogged. And in such a case, we have our first one, who we probably need that for. This is the Anselvund ghostly couple. I believe in this case, they were both members of... Yeah, according to my research, they're a ghostly couple. Their love for each other resulted in some peace between warring groups. One was like a warlord, another a huntress, and they were originally on opposing sides, but they fell for each other. And I believe, sadly, one of them got poisoned, right? I think the warlord got poisoned by some sort of terrible snake, or got envenomed by a terrible snake. And the huntress of the two of them went out and went looking for some sort of antidote, but sadly died. And thus, the warlord was also very sad and actually dedicated all of Anselvund to her. And then decided to kill himself in the hopes of finding her in Sovngarde. That was the main goal of that, right? In the afterlife. Maybe not a terribly memorable bunch of ghosts, because if I tell you the more memorable thing about Anselvund, you will immediately remember this. This is the place where you get ghost weapons. This is a place where you get those, like, swords and axes and stuff that are pretty much just like the ancient Nordic ones, but they have a cool mesh. They have a cool ghostly spectral effect where, you know, they're partly like, they're translucent. They have that ethereal blue, just like a lot of the ghosts here we've got on our list. Honestly, the weapons are a lot more memorable and a lot more cool than them, right? I mean, I guess it's kind of fun what they did, so maybe I'll give them a C. And for them being tangentially related to the cool weapons that everybody likes to get, and, you know, maybe you throw one up inside of a house somewhere, and then you think, it stands out a little bit too much. Maybe I'm going to take it down, right? I'm going to give them a C rank. All right. Here's one for the College of Winterhold. Not exactly like main story arc for the College of Winterhold. Not like your main mage wizard sort of arc, but an optional thing, I believe. Though maybe you can only get this quest if you've progressed through that guild, that organization through the college. But this is Arniel's Shade. Next up, this is the Shade, the ghostly specter of Arniel Gain. Oh, you know what? There's one that's actually not on this list that I forgot and actually didn't show up. Ooh, there's one that's not on here. Okay, you know what? We'll talk about them at the end, right? But there is definitely one on here that's missing. Anyway, Arniel Gain is, I believe he's the conjuration master. He's the conjuration guy. Or no, he's not. He's not. That's Finis Gester, isn't it? Finis? But regardless, Arniel is there at the College of Winterhold, and he is researching Dwemer stuff. You go out and you help him. I think you have to get like 10 Dwemer cogs and haul them back to him. Nonetheless, he actually makes some pretty good headway into his research with the Dwemer. And it actually ends up making him disappear. Maybe just like the Dwemer did. He accidentally, I believe, taps into some sort of tonal magic and maybe does replicate. It's unconfirmed, but he definitely disappears. But he perhaps does replicate exactly how the Dwemer went about their disappearance. Perhaps, allegedly. But regardless, he comes back as a Shade. He doesn't talk anymore. He makes kind of like zombie noises, I believe. But you can summon him. You can summon his Shade. Right? You can summon his Shade. It's pretty neat. You actually get some insights into Dwemer stuff. I would say he's either A or B rank. I think he has some really cool stuff. He's one of the more memorable ghosts. It's such a shame that he doesn't talk anymore as a ghost when, I don't know, obviously ghosts can talk, right? Obviously ghosts can talk. You know what? I think his stuff is just too cool and maybe could be building to something greater in a future Elder Scrolls entry, you know? So I'm giving Arniel Gain and Arniel Shade specifically an A rank. Next up is Avanchenzel. This is tied to the Dwemer Ruin by the same name. There are like 5 actually different ghosts who appear in here. This is the quest involved in you getting the Dwemer Lexicon, right? Or no, you return the Dwemer Lexicon. I believe there's an Argonian in Riften. Let me double check here. Yeah, an Argonian in Riften asks you to return it. Their party got wiped out in Avanchenzel, and you come to find that same Argonian there once again as a ghost. I think, right? Don't they all turn up as ghosts? But nonetheless, this almost feels like a very introductory sort of quest to Dwemer Ruins. The ghosts themselves, they're not terribly exciting. Maybe the lexicon is more exciting, and even that's not terribly exciting. It feels very introductory. They're just your regular run-of-the-mill band of adventurers. Bad things happen to them inside of Avanchenzel. It's kind of, it's kind of predictable. I don't think anybody really remembers them. I sure don't. I'm going to give them a D rank. They suck. Sorry. All right. Speaking of someone who doesn't suck, though, the inverse of that, switch it around. We have the Bard's Leap Ghost, who actually does have a name. I think it's Azadal or something like that. Regardless, this is a Redguard ghost, all wearing a lot of the Hammerfell garb that, you know, we all know and recognize from Skyrim. But they appear at the location, the minor location in the game by the same name, Bard's Leap. I called it the Bard's Leap Ghost because that's definitely what you're going to think of. But they only appear if you decide to jump off of the Bard's Leap. You'll remember in our Skyrim playthrough, I did exactly that. Got the ghost. It was wild. They talk to you. This ghost will speak to you. But they only appear if you see this plank of wood precariously balanced over like this great waterfall. It's kind of on the outside of a Nordic barrow, Nordic ruins, ancient Nordic ruins. And you jump off, go by the waterfall, go into the water safely, and you land in there, and then the ghost appears and speaks to you and says like, it's been a long time since anybody's jumped and let alone survived. And you get a fun little, I think you get a little buff or something, a temporary little buff. But it's very cool. It's a fun little Easter egg. They're, like I said, they have voice lines. It's very neat. It's a fun little thing that you can do, and you see a cool ghost. Honestly, I think that they're either S or A rank. I think that they're S rank because it's such a memorable place to go and jump off of and do like an Assassin's Creed type of jump off of that plank. All right, next up, we're getting into DLC, which reminds me, I meant to speak on this at the top. We're not getting into any Creation Club stuff, right? There are actually quite a few ghosts added by Creation Club things. You may see that in the Anniversary Edition. And that's oftentimes because apparently you don't need to have ghosts talk. Ghosts do talk, but even in the core game, as we have seen already, there's some ghosts who don't talk. And if you're doing Creation Club stuff, wow, what a boon to you, right? You can have them not talk to you or do something along those lines. You can speak to them, but they don't have to speak back. Perfect for such causes, but we're not going to rank them because who knows how many Creation Club doohickeys will exist in the future, right? There may be more, there may be less, I don't know, right? But yeah, if there's ghosts on here that are missing, they're probably part of the Anniversary Edition or part of Creation Club stuff, or they're the one that we're going to inevitably talk about because I've just remembered them. Anyway, up next, we have one from the Dragonborn DLC, my favorite DLC. It is Deathbrand, the King of Ghosts, the super pirate guy himself. Deathbrand has a lot of cool things going on for him. He's like a souped up super ghost. You have to fight as well. This includes his sort of motley crew of ghost pirates. You get the quest to go to the Hacknir Deathbrand Barrow or whatever it's called. Their little burial site off the coast of Solstheim, I think on like the eastern shoreline somewhere. You get that quest by way of reading a book by the same name. Of course, you don't actually have to read it, but it's fun to read it. But it tells about the harrowing exploits and the terrible exploits, frankly, because he was quite awful. Right? That's why I got the name Deathbrand. But this is, if you don't remember this, even naming the book, even with the name Deathbrand, even with like the weapon I believe you get by the same name, this is that famous dungeon in the Dragonborn DLC that has the giant piles of gold on the ground, right? In that booby-trapped room, there's giant piles of gold, and you can actually look at them and loot them. And sadly, there's a lot less gold in those giant piles of gold, but it's like one of the very few locations in the entire game, I think, where such a thing happens. Does that happen anywhere else in the core game, plus DLC? Maybe it happens somewhere in the Thieves Guild, but I don't even think so. Regardless, very cool stuff. I like Deathbrand quite a bit. Like I said, very memorable ghost. Pretty cool one. I would give Deathbrand... I'd give them an S. I'd give them probably a lower S or a high A. I could go that way too. But I'll give Deathbrand a low S rank. All right, up next... Speaking of ghosts tied to quests, we have the Dunmer Caravan, which, although their name doesn't evoke great memories or whatever, it doesn't evoke, like, immediately you think of, like, oh, okay, I remember the Dunmer Caravan ghosts. as we get into it, you will maybe remember. That said, a lot of people maybe haven't ever found them or seen them. These are the ghosts that appear as you go to get the crown of Baronziah. That's right. I think you only ever see these ghosts if you have every single one of those stones of Queen Baronziah collected. You go into where you got to go to get the crown, stick them all on there. You will start to see these ghosts. They're a Dunmerry caravan. They got trapped going between Skyrim and Morrowind inside of this like underground tunnel during a time of I don't know, I forget why they were doing it. Was it during like yeah, why would it have been? Why would it have been? Was it when there was the false emperor, maybe? Maybe that was it. With Jagger Tharn and all that business. But nonetheless, they were down there. They got stuck down there. That's why the crown's down there. They have a little fun bit of exposition there, too. They're pretty cool. They're all right. You know, for being nameless Dunmer caravan ghosts, they're pretty all right. I think, do you fight some at the end when you get the crown? You might fight a few, too, because they're, like, protecting the crown of Baronziah. Honestly, maybe the coolest part of getting the crown of Baronziah, because by the time you get the crown, usually you don't need the buff from it, which gives you all this money. A lot of people try to lie to you and say, oh, getting all the extra gems and stuff, that's amazing for power leveling blacksmithing more and more if you want to do that, right? Save those gems for power leveling blacksmithing, making jewelry. That's easy blacksmithing levels. You can keep leveling up your character. Don't believe those people. It's true that you can do that, but who cares? Right? Who cares? It sucks. It stinks. Really cool character, Queen Baronziah. Cool area. Cool ghosts. But the crown itself really is a major stinker for all the effort involved in finding those stones. Right? It's pretty neat if you just happen to find them, right? But it sucks because a lot of people in their first time through, they're not going to have found them. The ghosts themselves, I would say, though, they're pretty cool. I would say B rank. Pretty cool ghosts, right? They're all right. Pretty decent ghosts. Decent ghosts. High B, maybe a low A. All right. Speaking of ghosts who aren't pretty cool, how about Galder? That's right. The infamous amulet-having asshole. You fought other members of Galder's family, right? In attempts to get this, if you do this at a certain level, this becomes a very hard fight when you have to fight Galder himself and his sons, his two sons, because they all get a Fusro Da. They get Unrelenting Force, and if you're really unlucky, they can keep chain ragdolling you. It sucks so much. It's so bad. The amulet itself gives you, I think there's like 3 different versions of it, you know? One gives you stamina, one magicka, and one health. It's like 30 for either of them. Maybe you can combine them. I forget. But either way, huge asshole. Ghost kind of sucks, but it is memorable, right? It is a very memorable ghost, but memorable for all the wrong reasons, right? Because, fuck them, right? So memorable, but I'll give you a C rank, right? Here, let's scooch this up a bit. There we go. Great. Okay. Now, next up is the ghostly couple of Gyukar's monument. Which maybe you don't remember Gyukar's monument, or Gyukar's monument, or Gyukar's monument, however you may say it, I don't remember. But this is a part of the Temple of Mara quests. I think it's the final part. You have to go out and solve problems pertaining to love, as you would expect for a Temple of Mara. And one of them sends you out toward the area just southwest, just west of Whiterun. And there's a little bit of a ruin there. Maybe you have seen it before the ruin, but you didn't understand its significance. Regardless, you reunite 2 ghostly lovers, and upon seeing them together, they ascend into the sky and fly off and disappear. Pretty cool. Neat to have these ghosts there. I would say once again, they're a pretty cool ghost. So B rank, right? Pretty cool ghosts. B rank. They're not that wild, right? It's cool to see them. It's maybe a quest that a lot of people will do because Temple of Mara is kind of like, you know, it's a decent enough location that a lot of people visit. So it's neat. It's fun. It's kind of wholesome. It's kind of heartening to see these ghosts get together. You know, we love to see it. All right, now probably the most famous ghost in all of Skyrim, I would argue, is the Headless Horseman, a random encounter that you sometimes find if you are keen to not fast travel, and particularly travel at the darkened hours of the night. Sometimes you will see a spectral horseman going along the roads of Skyrim, and that is the Headless Horseman, modeled after the real-life sort of mythos, folklore even, of the Dullahan, right? But this is a Headless Horseman who goes around. They don't really do anything, but man, they're really cool. And a lot of people, if you see them, that gets committed to your memory. It's so wild and cool. Some people think that it might be from a mod the first time they see it, but it is not. It's in the core game. It's super cool. I love the Headless Horseman. I got to give them an S rank, right? They got to be one of the best ghosts in all of Skyrim. Also, they're a little scary. If you happen to see them when you're unprepared, you're low level or whatever, you don't have a lot of resources on you or whatever, it's terrifying to see this ghost come along. Although they're friendly, it is very scary. Maybe you think, oh my gosh, I'm about to get murdered out here along this road, right? Maybe they sneak up on you. This is maybe one of the few ghosts that has the chance to actually scare you in this game, right? It could be scary when you see it. Maybe you got scared, but regardless, a fun ghost, really great ghost, fantastic ghost. All right. Now one that is maybe less fantastic is Kavenel the Tongue. Who cares about this guy, right? This is another quest ghost that maybe nobody really remembers. I sure didn't. I had to look him up. And what did I learn about Kavenel? Well, he's the final boss of Volenrud. And I guess that's all right, right? Volenrud. What's more significant about Volenrud is I believe this is the dungeon where it's the first place you go out to meet as part of the Dark Brotherhood quest arc. You go to meet Armand Motier, the weird contact who gives you a few contracts, a few targets, including a very notable one toward the end of that quest arc. But regardless, that's more the notable thing that goes on at Volenrud. Sorry, Kavenel the Tongue. You would think that maybe him being the tongue had some tie to the Dark Brotherhood. I don't think it does. I think it's completely coincidental that there also happens to be like a side quest tied to Volenrud, and you also meet Motier there. So in this sense, he's kind of like the least interesting part of Volenrud. Garbage. Putting you down at the bottom. All right, the Labyrinthian Ghosts. Some quest-related ghosts, but some decently memorable ones. This is during, once again, the College of Winterhold arc, wherein you go into Labyrinthian to get the Staff of Magnus to put an end to all of the madness going on at the college and all of that. In there, you see the ghosts of an adventuring party, none other than the former previous Archmage. I believe the Archmage is dead, and their ghost shows up too. But it's some of their friends from the College of Winterhold and how they died there. Obviously, Savos Aaron, the Archmage, I believe they're there, but they don't die in this place. They die elsewhere. Regardless, decently fun, but definitely not the most memorable part of the dungeon. I would say, like, you know, if we're thinking of Labyrinthian, I feel like you only need to hear the word Labyrinthian, and immediately you're thinking of like, oh, the Eye of Magnus was in there. Oh, going there with, what's his name? Torbdal. Turtle. What was his name? The helper, the kindly old man who helps you out in the early stages of the College of Winterhold. Turtle. His name is Turtle. You know who I'm talking about, though, that kindly old man. You don't even need to know his name. You just know that he's a decent enough guy. Maybe he's a bit weird. Maybe he's a bit incompetent. but not as incompetent as Savos Aaron, that butthead. Regardless, Labyrinthian, got the Staff of Magnus, Eye of Magnus stuff going on. There's a giant skeleton dragon that is maybe significantly cooler than these ghosts, but you get to hear them talking about fighting it, right? So I would say they're not quite like all right. They're either a low B or a high C. I would give them maybe high C right there. Okay, another really cool ghost up next here, the Morthal Child, whose name is like Hilga or something like that. Helga? Something along those lines. But the spooky Morthal Child, who you can play hide and seek with in Morthal. She died in a house fire. You see her in the burned down building. She adds a ton to the atmosphere of Morthal, which already has an incredible spooky vibe. Investigating her death and all of that leads you to finding out about the vampire presence. And ultimately, you go and fight Movarth Pakine as part of that vampire book, which first appeared in Oblivion. But you go and track down that butthead and you kill him with a whole bunch of people just with torches and not pitchforks, but torches and maybe daggers or whatever in the middle of the night, ideally, or middle of the day. People getting ready to go fight this vampire. It's super cool. It's like, this is the quest. This is one of the things that makes Morthal so cool. Morthal Child, top tier ghost, ghost, maybe the best ghost in all of Skyrim. Do we think the Morthal Child might be the best ghost in all of Skyrim? It's tough. Definitely up there, though. Okay. Old Hroldan. Old Hroldan. If you've never had the pleasure of meeting Old Hroldan, folks, you're missing out. You're missing out. What are you doing not meeting Old Hroldan? Go to the inn by the same name and rent a room, get a bed there, and sleep for the night, and you'll wake up and Old Hroldan will be big time chilling around that inn. Old Hroldan, it doesn't just stop. It doesn't end there. Old Hroldan is even cooler than that. We love a quest that pops up when you wake up, right? We love to go to sleep in these games, wake up, and something has happened while you slept. In this case, Old Hroldan pops up and sends you on a Radiant quest. Maybe not that good, but Old Hroldan is a friend of Hjalti, Hjalti is also one of the pseudonyms for Tiber Septim, for Talos. So pretty cool in that regard. The inn, named after Old Hroldan. Pretty cool stuff, but definitely lessened by the fact that they just send you on a Radiant quest to any old place, right? Could have been a lot better than that, but it's cool that it exists, and for that reason, it can't get S rank, but Old Hroldan will get A rank, I think. All right. Man, talk about things being memorable. How about Ranvig's Fast? The ghosts there. What the hell are they about? I don't even remember. These are regretful ghosts. Oh, yeah, these ghosts suck. These ghosts all try to kill you, and they hate it. They're so sad about having to kill you. That said, it is kind of funny hearing them, like, be regretful. It is kind of funny killing them and hearing them be so upset about it. This is a dungeon which is perhaps most memorable for the sicko warlock who lives in there too, running tests, and you, the last Dragonborn, can also fall prey, literally fall prey, to his machinations. You can fall down a little trap hole door and you get stuck inside of a cage, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to torture you, right? And you could maybe die. If you're a low-level player and you're unprepared for this, you could die here. You could get tortured and killed. But typically, you know, most folks are prepared for this, or at the very least have their difficulty setting modifier at the ready, and they turn it down and take this guy out. Unfortunately, we're talking about the ghosts and not that cool warlock. Because if we were talking about the cool warlock, gotta be one of the best booby traps inside of Skyrim if we're thinking along those lines. But we're talking about the ghosts. And it is fun that they complain so much. It is fun that they're remorseful and regretful. So I'll give them a C rank. We'll give them a C rank. All right, the Sanctuary Guardians. These are guardians of the Dark Brotherhood Sanctuary, right? They pop up predominantly, most notably, during the, I guess not the final part, but toward the end of the Dark Brotherhood quest arc, when you're sent to go track down Cicero and finally confront Cicero. He gets these ghosts to come after you at the other sanctuary in Skyrim. It is unfortunate that there's not a bunch of cool stuff about the other sanctuary, but hey, such is the way of things for the Dark Brotherhood at this point in time, right? They're not exactly at the top of their game. If anything, it's only getting worse, right? But regardless, they're okay, I guess. I mean, I don't really remember them saying anything cool. They don't really do anything. They're just like fodder for the last Dragonborn. What's really cool is Cicero there and the vibe and everything. And frankly, the ghosts maybe take away from the vibe, right? It's kind of, there's a very spooky vibe going up there and hearing Cicero talk through the halls and all of that. And there's some fun use of lighting effects and little blood spillage around. And like I said, hearing Cicero's line delivery as you're going through. Giving us a little bit of combat, maybe I don't like that, right? Maybe it kind of spoils the vibe. So for in that sense, D rank, fuck them, right? They're just cannon fodder. All right. Now here's one of the more complicated ones on the list. This is the Soul Cairn ghosts, all of them. And ghosts here is in air quotes or in quotations, because the Soul Cairn ghosts are not ghosts. They are trapped souls trapped within the Soul Cairn. And although there are quite a few memorable ones there, probably predominantly I would say St. Jub, right? Fun, cool throwback to Morrowind. Cool how Jub sounds that way. Jub talks like a Morrowind era Dunmer, right? Unfortunately, gets a lot of Skyrim players to think that that's just how Jub sounds, right? And that it's not a nod, like him talking that way is a nod to Morrowind in and of itself as well, because that's just how all Dunmer used to sound back in the day, right? However, they ain't ghosts. These are trapped souls. These are souls trapped within the hellish nightmare world of the Soul Cairn. And for that reason, as cool as some of them may be, as weird and twisted the Soul Cairn may be, they ain't ghosts. D rank, I'm sorry, they ain't ghosts. right? I live to be spiteful. These are not ghosts. They don't aspire to be ghosts. They just work differently, right? Anyway, up next is Svaknir, someone who is definitely a ghost. Svaknir is a ghostly bard who you primarily encounter, though maybe you can encounter them beyond this, but most people will encounter Svaknir the ghost during the Bard's College side quest arc. And although the Bard's College stuff it would have been cool if it were like a fully fledged faction. I wonder if they'll do that for Elder Scrolls 6 because so many people feel this way about it. Regardless, you have to go and get his book of like bardic musings or songs or something for Olaf, I believe, or about Olaf. And there is Ghost of Svaknir. Decent enough, cool enough. But what I think really elevates Svaknir is that Svaknir is the one ghost in all of Skyrim that after you do his quest, if you do his quest before you finish the main story quest, you will actually find Svaknir in the flesh when you go to Sovngarde. As far as I could tell from my research, this is the only ghost in the entire game that has that happen. Really cool. Really cool. A bit conditional. Definitely elevates all of Svaknir's situation, which was already probably like decent enough. But I gotta say, Svaknir probably A rank, you know? If there were a little bit more zhush to it, maybe Svaknir would be up there with the S rank ones, you know? But I think Svaknir pretty all right. A rank. Nothing to be ashamed of, Svaknir. All right. Up next is Valdar. Who the hell is Valdar? This is a forgettable ghost. This is a ghost who is, I'm checking my notes now, at Valthum, guarding a dragon priest tomb. Valdar warns the last dragonborn away. He sits in a chair, but crucially, I did write down, he does actually help you during the side quests. He isn't just a worthless ghost who says, "Ooh, help me get laid to rest," or whatever. "I'm a ghost. I have unfinished business. You know, like ghosts do. Oh, last dragonborn, won't you help me float away? Won't you help me find my lost lover," or whatever. There's, weirdly, it's happened twice in Skyrim, ghosts being lost lovers and stuff. Nonetheless, Valdar is guarding this tomb because this dragon priest is bad business. I guess Valdar's kind of forgettable, but at the very least, C rank, I guess. Lower C rank. Okay, we'll put him above Randvik's fast. Well, no, put him below it. Because at least they're funny. But Valdar, he helps you out. He helps you out. He's okay, I guess. Okay. Speaking of people who, ghosts who don't really help you that much, the Forgotten Vale Snow Elf ghost. This is the ghost who hangs out by that one cool portal building, I believe, and tells you about filling your vessel. You would think that maybe a snow elf ghost, there would be more of them, that there would have more to say. Right? As far as friendly ones go, you would think you would get some more cool lore out of them. But this is mostly just exposition for, like, solving out a puzzle, for, like, progressing the quest you're on. I don't know. I feel like that living snow elf dude, maybe he... Does he know about the ghost? Right? Does that guy know that there's friendly snow elf ghosts too? Maybe he should, you know, being sort of in his shoes, the last of his kind, maybe he should have known. But regardless, this ghost kind of sucks, right? This ghost has every reason to be cool as shit, but unfortunately, this ghost is not. This ghost sucks ass. Thus, this is a D rank. High D rank because it was brimming with potential. But otherwise, it sucks, right? This is a ghost of wasted potential. All right. Now, here's another super memorable ghost. This is Wendelius Gatharian, a ghost who lives out by Iverstead inside of the barrow there. A ghost who is definitely a ghost and is most certainly not some idiot guy living inside of an undead barrow, a Draugr barrow, pretending to be a ghost. He's definitely not that. This guy is a real ghost. He's so scary that he has all of the people in Iverstead around his finger. He's got them by the neck. He's holding an entire town hostage, and he's getting free stuff. He's getting stuff from it. The only thing that could stop him, that does stop him, is the last Dragonborn intervening. And frankly, there should have been an opportunity to side with this guy, right? Let's be real. This is one of those unfortunate opportunities where this guy was such a riot. There should have been an opportunity to be an asshole and just formally side with him and, like, wreak havoc upon Iverstead, right? There should have been a way to get this dude more money or help him out even more. You should have been able to side with this guy in a major way, right? We do all sorts of terrible things during the Daedric quests, right? During the Daedric artifact quests and all that. We're like torturing people nonstop, murdering people, human sacrifice, cannibalism. We can't help out Wendelius Gatharian. Come on. This guy rocks. One of the best ghosts in the game, I think. He's S rank easy, smack dab in the middle, I think, right there. Anyway, with that, we have reached the end of all of these ghosts here. But like I said, there was one that I forgot, and that being the ghost of Lucien Lachance. Doesn't he appear? He is a ghost, isn't he? He's a ghost. How come this wasn't on any of my ghost lists? He's definitely a ghost that exists. Makes me wonder, are there more important ghosts that are not on this list? Not from Creation Club stuff? I don't know. I felt like this was pretty conclusive, but seeing Arniel Gain reminded me of Lucien Lachance, which I guess I can just use my mouse cursor here to place Lucien. Lucian's ghost is super cool that it exists. Super cool that it exists. Fun nod once again to a past game, to Oblivion. One of the most memorable characters in Oblivion. Unfortunately, he kind of sucks butt here in... he sucks ass in Skyrim. Not because he's like particularly bad in combat, but it's because he talks so much. He talks so much. He's so vocal. This guy won't shut up. He gets so annoying having him around. And for that reason, if I had to rank him, I would give him an A rank. Pretty cool ghost. Cool that it exists. Fun throwback. But man, he's teetering on being a B rank too. I gotta be real with you. Lucian is teetering on being a B rank. Apologies to Lucy and LaChance as well for not having him on here. It's not my fault, though. All right. I suppose that ought to do it then for our spooky time, Halloween-y time ranking of ghosts. I hope you didn't get too scared doing this ranking of ghosts, and I hope you have a happy Halloween. If you're doing anything to celebrate, you're going out trick-or-treating, you got kids you're going trick-or-treating with, you're doing a trunk-or-treat, you're doing... handing out candy, you're going to like a Halloween-y costume party, you're just getting pizza and watching some spooky movies, right? All that kind of good stuff. Anyway, until next time, please take care of each other.